On the last video you said something that I found very interesting. You said the head of the Federal Reserve should be a grammarian. And I think it's a very good statement, because I think what people is afraid of is not the financial insecurity, but the not making sense of all the information from the Android meme about, for example, economy.
Okay. So the grammarian figures out the seeds of meaning in words. And in the last recording, unfortunately, very dim and hard to hear, I was explaining that people need new meanings for wealth and health. They're reacting to old meanings, old interpretations of the word wealth. And okay, let me Google that. Since the Federal Reserve gorged on trillions of dollars of mortgage government debt, and in that economic realm has just added a new conundrum. The dependence of the nation's stock market on official support was exposed money with the biggest drops of 2007. That's the one that JW predicted. Amid speculation, aid had been dialed back on official support. You know, trying to pledge efforts to stabilize. Yeah, it was in February 2007. February 21st was the collapse that JW predicted, told me it was going to happen, and that caused a big shit. And now they're saying it's the same thing. 8 years later. They need Bob. They need a grammarian. Let me see if I got her name here. Janet Yellen. Come on, where's Janet Yellen? Go back here. The Shanghai stock seeds further. Who predicted that? Said DeMark, 68, DeMark and Scottsdale. A second. Correct meanings. So I'm saying that Janet Yellen has to become a grammarian. She has to deal with the words wealth and health in a new way. And so the degree to which she defines it correctly could cause a panic. So she has to actually fudge and not say what I'm going to say, even though that's not going to help. As we just saw, the Chinese stock exchange is collapsing in the last few hours. Bigger plunges, like 2007. That was the one that JW told me. That was before ION. JW said February 21st, 22nd, 2007. He was telling me this in early 2007. That's going to happen to the Chinese stock exchange, and we're in big trouble after that. And then that's when the subprime mortgage crisis surfaces in summer of 2007, leading to dire straits for everybody. So now they're saying this is the biggest drops since 2007. So we're back to where we were again 8 years ago, and here we go again. This time I'm in charge. So I, for those that are willing to tune in, will hear the correct definitions of what's happening. So those that measure money in terms of visual space and the chemical body are going to think they lost something. But with the five bodies happening anyways, moving along, chugging along, going nowhere rapidly into the past pluperfect, which means it already happened, and then there's a past tense within the already happened, that's past pluperfect, we arrive at the stated happy point of wealth ain't what it used to be. And we're more wealthy than we ever could be in terms of experience. Every one of us, even if you're just a plantation worker in the Congo, but you got your cell phone, you got some kind of little device you can wind up, a little satellite device. Wind it up and you can communicate internationally for like 30 minutes, then you wind it up again. There's those kind of devices, or there has been. Anyways, everybody's plugged in or knows somebody plugged in, and they can enjoy the abundance of imagery and sound and music in my archives at any time. So, wealth is doing fine. Now, when someone starts to tell you that you're evicted, you got a huge debt, you say, no, sir, I don't have a big debt. You have a debt of impoverishment of your grammar. Your grammar is in trouble. My grammar isn't. I'm in touch with Bob. I understand the wealth and abundance that comes from Bob's definitions. Bob is the grammarian for this new situation. I could play you my video and you can understand Bob, but it's very faint. It's rather commonly recorded. We don't know why. His associates are really very good at recording, but somehow this very important one got botched and we can hardly make it out. But if you take the time and the patience, I'll send it to you. You listen to it. Bob will lay out what I'm repeating now. Right now, again, I've laid out again the clear recording. And with the wealth coming in the astral plane, thanks to Ion and the TV, that we're having a golden renaissance of TV. TV programs are wonderful now. There's so many good programs. And then there's the chip body, Facebook wealth that's happening, YouTube, everything. It's wonderful there. You can actually live off. You can eat this imagery and music, and you just take a vitamin, take a taste of a piece of bread, very, very tiny amounts, lick someone else's ice cream. That'll get you to the drops. And when you take the RNA drops, that will give you the real nutrition. The secret to why I was able to go 6 days without apparently doing any chemical body sleeping is that I understood I had 5 stomachs. And as long as people were talking to me, or we were listening stuff or playing music, but largely interacting with people, my chip body stomach was being satisfied. My TV body, because I would, no, it was radio, so I wasn't seeing much. So it was more chip body consumption. That took my mind off of chemical body hunger or sleep needs. So that was the secret to going a long time. I could do it again if I don't limit myself to the chemical body and include my other stomachs, and I'm fed by people, by interaction. I can go for a long time. That'll give you the feeling of understanding what I'm talking about. So, and that's for your chemical body and other parts of your body. So, oh, what was that? See that blip? See that? There was a flash. The image dropped. But, and is it lightning there?
No.
Not lightning there. I just zapped the Android meme. It blinked. It did. You'll see it on the video. It shut down for a millisecond. Anyways, if one looks around at the wealth that's pouring in and around you and everybody else, you can't measure it in terms of your dollar worth. You actually, at best, you have to have some leisure time to enjoy this. So the less demands made on you of your obligations within time to other people is the degree you're impoverished. So withdraw yourself from the pressures of time obligation so you can enjoy the wealth that's pouring in a timeless way, no time. And we hope this message is picked up by the authorities so that they can reiterate this. This is what they need to talk about. They need to define what's happening, because nobody's going to solve the problem in terms of chemical bodies. Nobody's going to come up with a Nobel Prize-winning formula anymore. They are not going to solve this issue. The definitions are wrong. The panic is wrong. So you're going to have to start learning and understanding what I'm talking about. I actually can produce slack in this situation. Slack of understanding of relax and allow your concepts of where you're at. Everybody is in the wealthiest seat right now. Everybody. It's the ones who have to deal with the older wealth, the managers of the IMF, the managers of the big banks, the managers of government positions, secretaries of the Treasury. They're the ones in trouble because they're experts on the old definitions. And they can only panic and make stupid stopgap definitions and reports based on the old grammar. Won't work. So the good news is you have someone here who is spelling it out properly and takes a little effort to understand what I'm saying. The more you, well, that's another point. You can sit, you can take your time listening to my stuff so you can understand what happened. So just trying to understand me is a good way to spend your timeless relaxation eras, your tonality zones. I've got the tonality of definition. Now, the other factor is your health. I did mention the RNA drops, and most of you don't know about them, aren't going to buy them. You're going to have to do some Googling and do research and find out how valid it is, but that won't work. There's too much disinformation out there about the drops, too much confusion. You're just going to have to bite the bullet and take them. But if you don't, fine with everybody else, but not fine with Bob. I'm here, I'm actually concerned. Because you're going to have to change your definition of health, too. Health is not what happens to your chemical body. There's so much going on in the astral body, your astral body, and the TB body and the chip body, and the mystery body now, that if you just sort of notice it, you'll feel little bursts of bliss, bursts of ecstasy, that what you thought you were concerned about is not going to apply anymore. You'll be able to notice that if you actually go to a doctor and he measures you with the old definitions, he's going to find you quite ill. But you're not feeling sick, unless you're worrying and researching and Googling and trying to understand based on old definitions of health. I tell you, you don't have to measure your health anymore in the old terms. You just have to engage the understanding of financial wealth, and that'll make you feel relaxed, and then start sort of realizing that the frequency of the world has changed and you don't need to eat anymore. Now here's a point to think. Have people really been living on food for very much lately? No. The terrible food that people have in the mainstream is so empty that it wouldn't be nutritious for a gnat. So you actually have been living on nothing for 10 or 20 years. And you, of course, have the wrong definitions. You think you have to take supplements. You think you got bad food and you're trying to find other food. But you're actually surviving on the crap, the non-foods that you're eating. Which reminds me, I think Zappa wrote a column called Non-Foods. Now I know what he meant. Anyways, people have been eating non-foods for a few decades and sort of surviving as long as they didn't go to the doctor. They go to the doctor starts measuring you, and then you got problems, and depending if it's allopathetic medicine or natural alternative, what do they call naturopathic medicine, depending on the paradigm, you really got to begin to understand that the frequency of our time is making you feel and be eternal, consciously becoming eternal, because the guff is emptied according to our best sources. We have the best sources. We have access to the guy that built the guff. Built the dorky guff.
And
he's
also
resigned.
The man who was here before the universe and will be here after the universe.
And so, wait, let's just check in and see what's going on. What do you say?
I said he's with the guy who was here before there was in the universe and will be here after the universe.
Yes, that's right. He's a friend of mine. He's all right with Bob. So with the guff here, changing the frequency, because the guff has canceled itself and made itself become more physical, you're going to feel a little uncomfortable if you don't understand it. The more you listen to my situation, you'll understand how the frequency has changed, and you can ride, you can slack off, you actually can survive. All you have to do is put up with your headaches of concepts of, oh no, I'm getting growly stomach, I'm feeling weak, all those reactions that you're conditioned yourself to feel when you're hungry. If you can ignore it
Burning in the
as
belly.
much as possible, I guarantee you won't be starving in the traditional way. Actually, people are being made eternal now, consciously, by the new frequency, and that's what's causing a lot of the headaches. Now, my colleague, Roxy, I think, said something. Let's see what she said.
The burning of the belly.
The burning of the belly, yes, very good phrase, yes. The burning of the belly is an important experience you'll be having as you process your confusion about how could Bob be right about this. As you resist it, that's the burning of the belly. Once you start accepting what I'm saying, understanding the context that you have many bodies and the definitions based on one body do not apply. This is really a true new kind of medicine I'm proposing. Obsolescence, all the other medicines, even forces Dr. Dean to adapt a little bit to her protocols that she's used to spelling. Oh, my colleague's about to say something.
Yes, I wanted to make a comment. I saw some pictures of the structure of tears. When people cried and they're, for example, cutting onions, or when they're really sad, or they have different emotions. They're happy, this and that. And every time the picture is completely different. The structure of the tear is different. And that's only the tears. And I was thinking, can you imagine what's going on with all these secretions in your brain, the hormones and all the things that are going on in the heart and the hypothalamus with the drops? And that's why Ian said, get happy or get late. Because this emotion of what we call happy creates the right chemistry.
Yeah, so you're saying that the tears register the emotions? That's why they're different?
Not only the tears, it's like the whole chemistry changes according to what you were feeling.
And thinking.
And who knows all the process that is really happening, and this is only one of the many chemistries that happens in your body. But
yeah,
it's
you know, it would help people to realize that there's no split. I'll do it this way. It would help people to realize that there's no split between thinking and emotions. Thought is superstition, which is based on the distance between you and your fear factor. So thinking is emotional. To categorize people as emotional and others as intellectual, you're going to get bottled up, because your TV body is registering imagery, the fusion of thinking and emotions perceptually for you. So you don't have the split between thinking and emotions when you're engaged in TV body imagery. And when you're interacting on the chip body, it's emotional and thinking. That's why people in the chip body get into conflicts, because people are stating things, opinions, but it encourages an emotional reaction because it's mingled. It's not split like when you used to read books. Books would split emotions from thoughts. Just the nature of the printed press, it would abstract the visual sense. That abstraction doesn't happen in electronic digital media. So there is no difference between thought and emotion and feeling in the world today. That's why McLuhan said we were all 4 years old or even 2 years old. We have been reduced to an emotional immaturity or emotional rawness that was beyond the normal categories that literacy brought in. So that's why we're starting to see water molecules or tear molecules registering emotions because they're responding to the imagery. The tear can't hide. What is it? Famous old line by Dylan Thomas. Hands have no tears to fall. Something like that. Famous line. McLuhan used it in Explorations in 1955. Hands have no tears to fall. Something like that. So when you extend the tactile or the hand sense, the hand is an extension of tactility, and it is tactile. When you extend the tactile parts of your body, there's no tears to fall anymore in the old sense. The tears become movies. They become drenched with the imagery, and they change as the imagery changes. So there you have right there the whole issue of tears and emotions and thoughts have been altered, and we have to change our definitions. So we don't have to worry about the Cartesian split anymore. The old Descartes split between mind and body ain't happening to anybody. It hasn't been happening for 100 years. Of course, for people to sell books, they make an issue out of this and pretend, and it's appropriate for the book medium. The book medium through self-help genres and New Age genres are screaming the old split. You do get the split when you engage books. But luckily, people are diminishing their intake of books. But the whole idea of the split that comes from Descartes is what the book says. The book has come alive and is screaming, I represent the split, and while you read me, you will have a split. But the TV screen says, or the computer screen says, not with me, no splitting when you engage me. Forget Mr. Book. Come over to Mrs. Screen. Come over and experience. Oh, look, my colleague's going to say something. Let's tune in.
Yes, and I think all the thinking was for finding out how to control things, nature, and things in general.
Your emotions.
And your emotions, yourself, and everything. The economy, for example. But I am saying now we have to let go because the autonomic is taking over. There are so many changes going on that there is no way to control what's coming and what's happening already.
Those are very good points made by my colleague here. And she's giving the syndromes, the figures, and I'm giving the cause.